Hello, I'm Derek, and welcome back to The Drag Detective, where today we are going to be breaking down this entire plasma situation because it's kind of shaken up Drag Race in a way because it was so unexpected, her elimination. And we really don't often see queens who have 2 challenge wins not even make it to the halfway point. I mean, she made it to the halfway point in episodes, but not contestants. She's in the bottom 7. So I want to break down her edit, how often this happens, how much of an anomaly is this, and maybe what we can expect from Drag Race since doing this. Like, is this going to shake up the way that they edit the show, that they edit the queens? What does this mean for the show? But first, cold turkey might be great on sandwiches, but there's a better way to break your bad habits. And you don't need to be a detective to discover today's video sponsor, Fume. Not everything in a bad habit is wrong. So instead of a drastic, uncomfortable change, why not just remove the bad from your habit? Fume is an innovative, award-winning flavored air device that does just that. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses all-natural, delicious flavors. It's a habit that you're free to enjoy and makes replacing your bad habits all the more easy. You can fill the void in a natural, guilt-free way. Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial that is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do, which is helpful for de-stressing while breaking your habit. I love the sleekness of this device. It has some weight to it, it doesn't feel cheap, and my favorite part is the fidget of it all. Join Fume in accelerating humanity's breakup from destructive habits by picking up the Journey Pack today. Head to tryfume.com/dragdetective or scan the QR code and use code DRAGDETECTIVE to get 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com and use code DRAGDETECTIVE to save an additional 10% off on your order today. Fume has served over 150,000 customers and has thousands of success stories. And there's no reason that can't be you. Thank you so much to Fume for sponsoring today's video. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Plasma, she's on the season. And in the preseason, I think she got a lot of hype because in all of the preseason interviews and Entertainment Weekly stuff, she was one of the most vocal and seemed to be integrated in the main cast of the queens. She would, make jokes with everybody. Everyone seemed to really like her. They would mention her in interviews. So I think a lot of people going in expected Plasma to do really well on the season, which she did. And if you've listened to the Read Recap, you know that she's been one of my favorites the entire time. The kind of moment in the season that kind of made me understand what we were doing with her was her first challenge win, which was in the RDR Live episode. So she's kind of given a little bit of OTT edit here over the top. She, doesn't want this Barbra Streisand role and she gets stuck with it and she's complaining. And I couldn't understand when I was watching it live if the edit was trying to tell us this bitch is annoying and she's going to fail because she's so in her head about this role that she's gonna be good at. As long as she can get out of her own head, she could do this very easily. Or if it was going to kind of paint her as a victim and that Dawn and Q and Amanda were being kind of the mean girls who were you can't sit with us, and she gets stuck doing something she doesn't really want to do. So I wasn't sure which way it was gonna go. And I am unspoiled this season, so I don't know any placements, any challenge wins, nothing. So I was I feel like Plasma either wins this challenge or goes home. And I could see the narrative of what we just saw kind of playing into both of those narratives perfectly. And it turns out that she slayed and she ate and she won the challenge. And I said, okay, so she's somewhat getting the Jan edit of in your face. She needs to tell you how good she is. She can't just, she's very tell not show in the confessional and in the workroom. But it's gonna be different than Jan's edit because instead of breaking her down to psychosis, they're going to prop her up and be she's able to talk the talk and walk the walk. So she's given the 4th win of the season. She's kind of propped up really early now as a front runner, especially after her first episode, which was the talent show. She got kind of negatively critiqued, kind of given the Jan critique of you're doing too much, reel it in. But people disagreed with this. They thought she did a really good job. She had a great runway that episode, and a lot of people thought she could have been in the top 2, while the other half of people were like, no, she was definitely safe. And that's kind of a normal thing for this try-hard edit, because some people will appreciate that energy, and some people will be annoyed by it. And I feel like that's kind of, I think over time, most people kind of were warmed up to Plasma. They liked her a lot. But in the beginning, I think a lot of people were kind of like, I don't know, she might be a little bit too much. But then as we saw, she did great in the Girl Groups Challenge. She won her second episode in the Rusical, and it seemed like she was really getting some momentum. She did have a low placement for her dollhouse design look, but it wasn't anything like horrific. Like, it wasn't anything that was like gonna like tarnish her reputation as a competitor. So going into that Rusical, I had really, really, really high hopes for Plasma after it, because they very, very easily could have given the win to Sapphira. She was Mother Superior. She had this next level runway. And honestly, I kind of expected Sapphira to win, because that's the kind of role, the Mother Superior role, that they usually give the win to. It's this like zany, not the main character, but a nice little side character that comes in and kind of like shakes up what's going on the screen. Pair it with one of the greatest looks you've ever seen on the runway, I was like, oh, they're going to give the win to Sapphira. And then they gave it to Plasma, which I was fine with. I think both of them did an incredible job and had incredible runways. I think it could have been a double win. I would have been happy with either of them getting the win. But it surprised me. It really did, because I felt like Sapphira was kind of being set up as this huge threat that everyone felt like, nervous about in the competition. And this would have been a great moment to get her second win. So the fact that they chose Plasma over Sapphira, then I was like, okay, Plasma's top 4. They love her. They would obviously like highlight her and like prioritize her in this situation where they very easily could have just prioritized Sapphira. We'd all expect it. We'd all be like, yeah, sure. But they chose to give Plasma that win. So I was like, all right, top 4. I'm sold. And I was excited because I love Plasma. Love her. One of my absolute favorites on the season. And this season is interesting because it started out with everyone saying, oh, this is going to be the Nymphia and the Sapphira season, and no one else is even going to come close. But since then, we've had queens like Plain Jane and Plasma really kind of like catch up to them, Since their wins early on in the season, Sapphira and Nymphia have kind of not faded into the background, but they just haven't been as in-your-face front runner like status that they were at the start. And people like Plasma had caught up. So how did we end up here where I'm making a video about her elimination in 8th place? That is crazy. I was shocked, and I think everyone else was too. And unfortunately, it's kind of bred some hate for queens like Maya, who sent her home, and it's kind of become a whole situation. So one, if you're sending hate to Maya, if you're being nasty about Maya, go away. Get out of my comment section. I don't want to hear it. Maya ate her up in the lip sync. What do you want? You wanted them to change. People are like wanting them to change the rules of the show because suddenly a lip sync shouldn't matter. Like, why should a lip sync determine who stays and who goes? Well, baby, that's how it's been for the last 16 years. Like, what do you mean? People are literally like foaming at the mouth, frothing at the mouth over this Plasma elimination. So we will get into it. But I also wanted to look at seasons past and see like, okay, how out of the blue, how much of an anomaly is this elimination? So we're going to look at all of the queens who have had 2 challenge wins and not made the finale. But we're going to break it down into a couple subcategories. So our first category is queens with 2 wins who were cut literally right before the finale. And this includes Latrice Royale, Kennedy Davenport, Olivia Lux, and Lucy LaDuca. Now, this is kind of like, they made it super far. They literally got cut right before the finale. It's not a big deal that they went home, because usually everyone in the finale has either 2 or more wins at that point. Not always. Obviously, Candy Muse was going into the finale with 1 win. Olivia had 2. But at that point also, Olivia had kind of bottomed out. Like, her track record was, like, insane. It was, like, top 2, win, and then low, bottom, low, bottom, bottom. Like, it was like, whoa. Okay, so that wasn't crazy that she went home. It really wasn't that crazy that Lucy LaDuca went home right before the finale, because it felt like everyone in that top 4, Anitra and Lux and Mistress and Sasha, they had a ton of win equity, and they also had more positive storylines. Like, Lucy was really dunked on all season long, so I wasn't surprised when she didn't make the finale. And then you do have queens like Kennedy, who, like, definitely should have made the top 3 on their season, but didn't. But also, like, she still made it super far. So was it a shocking elimination? Yes, but it was at the very end of the season. Same with Latrice. Now, our next category of queen is ones that made it, like, right before the finale. So, like, our 6th placers and our 5th placers, if there's a top 3, like, they weren't the last eliminated before the finale, but they made it, like, right there, like, right before the finale. And these queens are Angina, Ben de la Creme, Katya, Nina West, and Shangela. So Shangela's a little bit of an outlier because she actually went home a little bit sooner than the rest of the ones in this group. She got 6th place out of a top 3, and everyone else got like 6th or 5th out of a top 3 or 4. So these queens all got 2 wins. Some of these were definitely more shocking than others. I think that Angina's elimination, definitely shocking. I think that Nina West's elimination, very shocking. Some people found Katya's shocking, but, like, to me, a shocking elimination is like, was it if it's a fair elimination that feels just, I'm usually not shocked. I can be shocked of, like, wow, I really thought this queen was going to make finale, but it's not like a shocking elimination where I'm like, clutching my pearls. Katya's wasn't shocking. Ben de la Creme's wasn't shocking. Shangela's not really shocking. For me, it was Nina West and Angina are the 2 in this group that are, like, really, like, whoa. And that's because their lip syncs were either close or, like, they definitely won the lip sync. So, like, looking at Angina, she had 2 wins. BB Zahara Benet had 1 win. They lip sync in the bottom 2 to Stronger by Britney Spears. And it is a very close lip sync. But they keep BB, who had less wins than Angina at that point, where I thought it was like one of those things where it was close enough that you could just, like, save Angina. But no, they sent her home. And I do think BB did edge her out in the lip sync, just like a teeny little bit. So it was fair, it made sense. But it was shocking, and it was like, that was a really close lip sync. They're probably just going to keep Angina. And then they didn't. And then with Nina West, the lip sync that we all would love to forget to No Scrubs by TLC, Silky was not good. Nina was not good. But Nina was at least not sloppy and messy, whereas Silky's lip sync was very sloppy and very messy. Luckily, she redeemed that lip sync time and time again after. But in this moment, it was a very sloppy lip sync. And I was sitting there like, bye, Silky. You know what I mean? I was like, goodbye. But unfortunately, season 11 was a season where the storyline always trumped fairness. And Nina West just didn't really have a storyline. Everyone in the top 6 was connected. Akira and Silky are friends. Silky and Evie are enemies. Brooke and Vanjie are dating. And then Nina is, like, off in a little corner. Like, she has, like, a little friendship with Brooke that's, like, a little strand. But if it's between Silky and Nina, Silky has so much more narrative power to bring into a finale than Nina did. So I understand why they did it, but it definitely was shocking. And it definitely was like, damn, okay, so Nina definitely had a chance to win this whole thing, and now she's gone. But regardless, they all made it really, really far. You know, like, they made it to the end game of their season. Another person, like, this is kind of a person in their own little island, is Willem, who had 2 wins, but, like, was disqualified, and, like, probably would have made it pretty far. Like, I don't know if she would have been top 3, but she definitely was, like, probably safe for another, like, 2 weeks, potentially. But she was disqualified, so, like, that really doesn't matter. And that leads us to our last category, which Plasma is in. And it is literally just 2 people. It's Plasma and Max, who both had 2 wins and both went home in 8th place. Max actually got bumped down to 9th after Trixie Mattel came back. But they were at the halfway point, you know what I mean? Like, they were not even at the end game yet, and both of them went home. So is this an anomaly in Drag Race history? Yes, because it's only happened twice. And dare I say, Plasma's is even more shocking than Max's because the narrative was telling us to root for Plasma. Max in the narrative was kind of like, Max has a very, very strange edit, and I don't think we've ever seen an edit like this again, where she was doing really, really well, but the judges weren't necessarily vibing with her, the queens weren't vibing with her, so there's not much you can do to prop her up as like a hero or as like someone you want to root for when everyone around her is like, we don't like you. So Plasma, the queens loved her. We saw plenty of her friendships and relationships develop throughout the season. And the judges loved her so much that they, gave her the Rusical win. So I truly think an elimination like Plasma's has never happened on US Drag Race before. Max is the closest thing, but it is still a little bit different. So we know that it's weird, but let's talk about the why. Why did it happen? How did we end up here? I think that, unfortunately, Plasma did it to herself. You know what I mean? Like, she was the worst in this challenge. And in the lip sync, yes, she was given a horrible song, and we could say, all day long, well, if they just had the regular Bloody Mary, she could have won the lip sync. And so that's on production. Production is the reason why Plasma's gone. Plasma's not the reason Plasma. Okay. Well, that's not what happened. And they were given this weird, sped up version of Bloody Mary, which homophobic. And I would say it's one of the hardest lip syncs that I've seen, like, to figure out how to do. Because, like, it's this sped up, like, chipmunk voice, and you have to try and, like, portray that. The song is very dark. The song is, like, very dark. But then this, like, dance remix, it's like, okay, I don't know what to do with this. I think even Maya had trouble finding like the tone, but she was able to at least perform super well to it, whereas Plasma did not. And people mentioned like, well, why didn't they just pull a Candy? Like, why didn't they just say, listen, girl, you lost that lip sync, but Plasma, wait, Plasma, like they could have like brought her back and been like, I want to see more. That's basically what they did with Ben de la Creme on season 6. Like Darian won that lip sync to Point of No Return, and it was not close. But Ben de la Creme was saved because she had been doing well. She already had 2 wins, and the judges wanted to see more from her. So they have done things like this in the past, but I also feel like Ben de la Creme was at least somewhat good in that lip sync, whereas like Plasma flopped the challenge. She flopped the lip sync. And I feel like if you were to say, okay, we want to give you a second chance, like that would just be very unfair, because it's like, girl, like she dropped the ball this episode. As much as I love her, she dropped the ball in every single way. And saying, that's okay, because we really like you and we just want to see more from you. Okay, well, like now eliminations don't matter. You know what I mean? Like if a front runner does badly, just save them. Who cares? And then everyone else, like, just go home. You know what I mean? Like, if I were a queen on that season, I would be pissed. Because there's one thing if it's a deserved double shantay. Like, both queens did so well in the lip sync. How could we possibly choose? That's one thing. Like, I'd still be annoyed that no one went home, but it's like, okay, I get it. But, like, to see someone literally go home, like, that was bottom worthy. You lost the lip sync. Goodbye. To then it be like, okay, but we really like you, so, like, just stay. Like, I would be pissed, because I'd be like, okay, then nothing matters. Like, it's just how much do you like us at that point? And then it's just a popularity contest with the judges. So, like, I think that if they were to do something like that, it would potentially, like, open up a can of worms that maybe they could not close back up again if they wanted to moving forward. Because if they save Plasma here like that, fans are going to be begging for it to happen every single season. Anytime someone that the fans like goes home, then they felt like, it was too soon. Well, you saved Plasma, so why wouldn't you save this bitch? So it's like, okay, like, at what point are we losing the plot? And I feel like this was the right decision to not lose the plot. As much as it pains me, as much as I love Plasma, they made the right call. And I think that's one of the reasons why people are loving, and myself included, loving season 16, is because it does feel organic. It feels pretty natural. Is there riggory afoot? Yes. Nothing too crazy. Like, I'm not leaving these episodes, like, fuming like I am in other seasons. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I watch an episode and I'm like, okay, so nothing matters. Like, it doesn't matter how they do in the challenge, in the runway. They're just going to do the placements however they feel like doing in that given day. But this season, it's like, it feels like, sure, there might be some biases with some of the queens, but it feels at least I can understand where all the decisions are coming from. And I'm leaving feeling good after every single episode. Even this one, you know what I mean? Like, I was sad for Plasma, but I left it being like, that's what needed to get, like, that's what happened. Like, they didn't rig it. They didn't do anything to, like, try and get her out. She lost fair and square, so how can I be upset? How can I go send Maya hate, like, nonstop on her Twitter, on her Instagram? It's like, I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. And here's the thing. Plasma will be just fine. She will be just fine. She will get so many opportunities after this. Everyone is able to see that she's an incredible performer, that she is so good at what she does. She has a niche, but that niche is something that's like needed everywhere. You know, like she could do Broadway if she wants. She could do like theater wherever she wants to go do theater. She will literally be fine. Whereas someone like Maya, who hasn't excelled in the competition as much as some of the other people, her getting another week it's a big thing for her because it's another week where she can show a different skill. And guess what? Next week is the Remix, where they're doing political anthems and dancing. That to me sounds like something that Maya will be much better at than Plasma. So I'm excited to see Maya in next week's episode, and I hope that she slays it and she kills it and she makes it to top 6. So I think literally in all facets of this, I'm at peace. I am totally at peace. I'm so sorry to Plasma that she didn't make it to the end. I wish we got to see more, but like, if she wants to do All-Stars, it's kind of like a Denali, where people loved her so much, they feel like she went home too early, and Denali can go on All-Stars whenever she wants. I'm sure they have asked her, and then she has said, like, many times, I'm just not ready yet. Like, I would love to go back when I'm in a good spot, and I feel like my drag has evolved. Not there yet, but I will be. That is the path I feel like Plasma will be on after this season. So I love this season. That elimination stung, but that's just what makes good storytelling. You know what I mean? Like, they had to edit her so good. Like, they had to put work and time into her edit to make us care about her, to then when she goes home, have it hurt so much. So emotional manipulation, yes. But also, I think what makes a good season, because season 15's, I think, biggest problem was I didn't care about the queens as much as I have in other seasons. Did I love Sasha Colby with all of my heart? Yes. Did I love Selena Estades with all of my heart? Yes. Did I love, like, Malaysia Baby Doll Fox with all of my heart? Yes. But besides that, a lot of the queens, I'm like, yeah, I like them. Yeah, they're cool. The 40-minute episodes, it did not leave room to really, like, bond with that cast. And this season has done a complete 180 where I love every single person on this cast. And anytime any of them go home, I'm like, damn, I really liked them. Even Tsunami, who, like, was safe every single week. She was not slaying the competition by any means, but she went home and I was like, damn, that sucked. I really liked her. So this season, it's so good. And we're going to talk about why it's so good in the next video on my channel, which will be next week. We're going to break down every single thing from the season that has made it the success that it is. So let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite thing about this season? And how are you feeling at the halfway point? How are we? Let's do a temperature check. Is this a potential top 10, top 5 season, or are you starting to like, it's whatever? Let me know what you think. I'm still obsessed. I feel like a lot of people are still obsessed, but just to get a vibe of the room. The links to all of my social medias are in the description below, and I want to thank Fume yet again for sponsoring today's video. The links to that are also in the description and in the pinned comment below. If you are not already, subscribe so we can get to 75K, bitch. And if you're not listening to the Rigged Recap, you're missing out because it is chaotic as hell. We just did an episode with Runner I just did an episode with Bootsy as a fill-in because Kayla is in Europe. The Rigged Recap is stronger and better than ever. So if you're not listening to that, go check it out. It's available wherever you can listen to podcasts. And yes, I hope you're all having a wonderful start to your 2024. It is finally spring weather. I feel like the serotonin has hit my bloodstream and I feel like a brand new person. So I'm ready to like pump out some content. Let's keep it going. And yeah, that is all for today. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.